Good morning, everyone. Good morning, my fabulous Sonder fam. Happy Sunday morning before Christmas, before New Year's. We're getting ready to the final sprint of the season. I saw lots of folks. We had lots of snuggly shortbreads here. I'm definitely a sleepy snickerdoodle. We've been doing a lot of fun holiday stuff, but been out late. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, maybe I told my husband, I said, maybe next year I should only pick like 3 holiday things to do instead of like all the holiday things, do all the holiday markets and the lights and the all that stuff starts to get a little intense. So hopefully we will all be feeling pretty good, feeling more snuggly shortbread here soon. My name is Maya. If we haven't met yet, I am coming to you from Denver, Colorado, where it has been unseasonably warm. I think it was 70 yesterday, which is super weird. It's very hard to get in the holiday spirit when you're used to it being cold and snowy, and it has not been. And we've also, I don't know if you've heard, we've been having these really weird high winds, like 150-mile-an-hour winds. And so the school district that I worked for last week actually closed the district um, on Wednesday because we had so much the winds, and the power company has been shutting off electricity because back in 2021, when we had really high winds, there were some power lines that were downed that were live and started a really big fire. And it was very bad, caused millions and millions of dollars of damage. So now they're trying to be more proactive, but it's very stressful. We still had a bunch of schools that didn't have power Thursday and Friday. Like, it's definitely been stressful for kids, stressful for teachers, but now they're all on break. So hopefully, if you are an educator, maybe you're on break and ready to get a little bit of rest and relaxation, hopefully. Yeah, and I've heard there's been like a lot of rains, all sorts of just the weather has just been a little wacky. So make sure that you set your chat to everyone, that little blue box. If you're on a iPad or an iPhone, it has a tendency to flip back to the host and panelist. And when that happens, the only people that see what you write are myself and my fabulous co-host Bailey. She is hanging out in the chat. She will be kind of checking on if there's anything anyone needs, if you have any questions, those kinds of things. Just a few other community guidelines. We want to make sure that you're kind and courteous to both yourself and others. We want to make sure this is a safe and supportive space. No promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. It's fine to ask about stickers and pins and those things, but honestly, the best place to ask about that is in Sonder Club in our app, so people can put pictures and links and those kinds of things. And any of those customer care inquiries, I'll go to our team, our headquarters team at hello@silkensonder.com. Bailey and I don't have access to your account, so we can't look up things or update your mailing address or fix your billing information. I always like to remind people, make sure if you have a card on file that card has not expired. That has happened to me with several other things where it's like, we could not process your payment. And it was like, oh, the card expired. So all of those go to hello@silkensonder.com. And then ultimately remember that these socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And if you've been with us for a while, you know that we have a super supportive, friendly, fun, creative, brilliant community, but ultimately you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're working on that just isn't quite your jam, feel free to work on something else. If the music I play isn't your jam, you can mute that. If my voice isn't your jam, you can mute me. We have closed captioning enabled. So this is your hour to do what you need to do. So don't ever think there's a right or a wrong way to do the socials or to do the journal. It's all about what is working for you. I did want to mention we do have, if you're wanting to gift someone a subscription or something else, you can just send an email to that hello@silkensonder.com and they can help you with any gifting, because I know sometimes trying to do it online, it doesn't quite work out when you fill out the billing information. So just send them an email. Also wanted to mention the New Year Real You, your 2026 Glow Up with Meha exclusive event is January 15th. There is a small fee associated with that. But there is lots of fun stuff. She's going to do some guided exercises from the Elevate Planner if you have that. So that is there. That's on January 15th. Bailey can pop the link in Eventbrite for you to sign up with that. So hopefully we will see you at that event. Remember, all of these events, the only people you can see are myself and who, the facilitators. You can't see, your cameras aren't on, your microphones aren't on, you can't even turn them on if you wanted to. So it's all good if there's a lot of holiday chaos in the background and you're worried about that bleeding through. Nope, we cannot hear you. So no, Nicole, we can't hear you scream. We can't hear you screaming. I hope things are okay. Um, so yes, as several of you mentioned, today is the winter solstice. I think the actual time was, or maybe it's around 10 o'clock here this morning. I can't remember the exact time when the solstice hits. But the nice thing is that means today is the day with the shortest hours of daylight. And then after today, we will start to get some more sun. So it takes a little while. I usually don't notice it until about February, but it is always one of those things where I'm like, woohoo, the sun will come back. It's a nice reminder. And I liked some of these quotes that were saying, like, winter, a lingering season, is a time to gather golden moments, embark upon a sentimental journey, and enjoy every idle hour. Which I think, I'm not sure if I always have a lot of idle hours during this time, but that is a nice thought. And then as the earth grows colder, the winds blow faster. The winds are definitely blowing faster here. And the fire dwindles smaller and the rains fall harder. Let the lights of sun find its way home. And then I liked this word, apricity, I think is how you say it. I'm not 100% sure on pronunciation, but it's the warmth of the sun in the winter. And doesn't the sun feel different in the winter? There's just a different feel for that warm sunlight when it's cold outside, or theoretically when it's cold outside. Like I said, it's been pretty warm here, but kind of a fun word for that. So our agenda for this morning, we're going to do week 4 of our renewal mind map. Next weekend will be the bonus mind map, so just keep that in mind. We're going to do our rosebud thorn on page 44, and then we are going to do our weekly setup pages, which are on page 46 and 47. So if you've been with me for a while, I always use these 2 little cartoons to illustrate a couple of important points about these socials. There's room for you here just as you are. So if things are going great, you want to celebrate, you want to talk about awesome things that are happening, we love to celebrate with our Sonder fam. But we know that life is not always that series of ups, right? Sometimes things are a little stressful, and especially around this time of year, things can get a little intense. So if things aren't really going your way, you want to kind of share some issues that you're having. We are here to empathize with you. We can, hear you. We can share suggestions, share thoughts. I think sometimes we think that the things we're going through, we're the only ones going through them, but oftentimes you will find that many others are going through similar things. So it's nice to just be here in a very supportive group and feel our feelings, which the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So no one can tell you, oh, you should be happy about this, or, oh, you shouldn't be mad about this, right? Our feelings are our feelings, and we will feel them to the fullest and embrace that as we go on. So let us think about our renewal mind map, right? Michelle, I'm in Colorado. So oftentimes we focus too much on what we haven't done yet instead of how we have grown. This month, we'll be exploring our theme of renewal with a focus on celebrating progress over perfection and creating space to move forward. And I think this is really important because, and I found a fun little meme, but there's one, it's like, sometimes we think we're not making progress because we keep raising the bar. Right. And have you ever noticed that sometimes you're like, well, I want to be able to do this. And then once you do that, then you want more, you keep raising the bar on what you need to do. And then you think like, I'm not making any progress. And really we are. So the renewal mind map this month has really been kind of talking about these different things, about a favorite thing that you've done for self-care, a goal that you've made progress on this year, something you've learned about yourself this year. And now for week 4, we are going to talk about what is one thing you want to leave behind in 2025. What are we going to put down and leave as we enter 2026? So this could be a negative habit. Maybe it's a mindset, a routine. Maybe it's anything that no longer serves you. So, an important tip to remember is that you may need to forgive yourself or another in order to let go and to leave it behind. So, if you haven't done the previous 3 weeks, don't worry, you don't have to catch up. You can if you want, but you don't have to catch up. You can just focus on week 4, and you can use like a blank page in your journal. Maybe it's that weekly scratch pad, maybe it's some sticky notes, that definitions page, lots of different places to do that. And then I gave you just a few examples of 10 things to leave in 2025. So, things like overthinking every step. I saw someone, Carla, put in the chat, putting other people's needs first, apologizing for your boundaries, chasing validation instead of purpose, saying yes when you mean no. That's a hard one for me, for sure. Making yourself an option, waiting for the right timing, right? Oftentimes there's never a right time. You just need to start. Comparing every milestone. So that comparison is the thief of joy, right? Holding on to things just because they're familiar. That is definitely something that can be really tricky. That the devil, right? Carrying grudges like proof you were hurt, thinking you need to do it alone. So these are some nice examples. I know you all are probably going to come up with some different examples. I'm just going to play a little bit of music and let you work on this, and then we'll check back in and keep moving on. video would not turn back on. Um, all right. So thank you all for sharing in the chat. I know there's some different things that folks are struggling with. I think a lot of times really thinking about that people pleasing piece that can be so hard to leave behind because it's just something that we've grown accustomed to and just something that we have done, and really knowing when to say no, right? And when to say, nope, I don't think we're going to do that. An example, one of my husband's friends from high school is going to be in town this last weekend, and she kind of invited herself to stay with us for a couple of days. And at first I was a little irritated. And then I thought, well, how could I maybe reframe this a little bit? And I thought, well, it's nice. She wants to spend time with us. She wants to hang out with us for a couple of days. Um, I had kind of hoped my husband would like explain to her that he had a lot of work things going on and he's been working a lot of overtime and I would be working during that time. But anyway, so I was like, well, you know what? I'm not going to be, again, you can kind of only control how you respond to things. So I thought, okay, how am I going to respond to this? Okay, I'm going to clean up the guest room, wash the sheets, do all that, get everything ready. I had a couple weeks to get things done. And then she came in and it was very nice. And we had a nice visit. And then as it turned out, Wednesday, I didn't have to go into work because of the high winds. And so she and I sat and chatted for a while, and she's having some bad issues with her spouse. And so we just kind of had a chance to talk. And I don't think she really has any gal friends. She lives in Minnesota, and I don't think she really has any friends. So it was kind of nice to just be able to talk with her and make her feel a little bit better. So, and I felt a lot better. And I realized I didn't have to make everything perfect. I didn't have to make the house perfect. I didn't have to, there's a lot of things I think that we assume we have to make everything perfect and we have to make everything great. And we have to, if there's, if this is happening, I have to do this and this. And I thought, nah, the only thing I really need to do is make sure the bed's there, the sheets are clean, and everything worked out really well. So really kind of thinking about, for me, a lot of times it's really trying not to overthink things and trying to do a little bit of reframing. So hopefully you can kind of think of this, and this is a good thing to reflect on for the rest of the year, right? Is kind of what are some things that you want to leave behind in 2025 and see what kinds of things that you want to bring forward or try for into the new year, right? So thanks for spending a little bit of time on that mind map. And now we're going to work on our rosebud thorn, reflecting back on the week. It's over on page 44. I like to start with a thorn just because I can get the bad stuff out of the way and end on a positive note. So our thorn is something that's a challenge, something that's frustrating. Maybe it's a little something that's out of our hands. So for me, I've been having like this neck and shoulder pain that then went into my wrist. But today it's feeling a little bit better. So that's good. And I have a massage later. So that's good. This is over on page 44. And there can be a lot of thorns this time of year, and sometimes something can be our thorn, our bud, and our rose at the same time. So just kind of keep that in mind. Obviously, my bud is this upcoming winter break. I do have to work technically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I can work remote. I don't have to go into the office, and it's probably going to be pretty quiet. So looking forward to that break that goes until don't have to be back into the office until January 5th. So that will be nice. And then, so our bud is that emerging opportunity, something that's exciting, something that's coming up, something that we're looking forward to. And then our rose is a highlight of the week, something that was really fun, something that was, that made us smile, something that, that made us happy. And it can be small things or big things. So one of mine for the week is we did Christmas in Color last night, which is this really fun drive-through light show that they have here in Denver. And you drive through and you tune your radio to the station that they broadcast, and you kind of drive through this whole thing, and it's super fun. And we took my mom, and it's just the thing I like the most about it is that you're with other people, but you're not, because you're in your car. So you're there, there's lots of other cars, there's lots of fun things, lights and music, but you're kind of encapsulated in your own personal space. So that was really fun. So I did that. So feel free to share with us in the chat that your rose, your bud, or your thorn. I see different folks sharing different things in there. I'll play just a little bit of music, and then we'll check back in and keep moving on. Right. So thank you for sharing those rosebuds and thorns in the chat. And I saw somebody had said, Beth Ann said, I've been saying every day for the past 2 weeks I'm going to put my tree up. And now I'm thinking maybe I just don't put it up at all. It's a lot of work, but I love it when it's lit at night and I'm sitting in the living room with a cup of tea. I totally get that. So maybe what you could do is find a place like a coffee shop or even a hotel lobby that's decorated for the holidays, that has a big tree and that kind of thing, and just go and sit there one night and order a cup of tea from the restaurant or that kind of thing, so that you don't have to necessarily spend all the time and effort putting things up, but you still get a chance to kind of sit and see the tree. Or if you don't want to leave the house, I bet you could find on YouTube a like Christmas tree, a twinkling Christmas tree video with some nice Christmas music. Put that on the TV, if you have a smart TV, or even if you have like your computer or your laptop, kind of put that there in the living room, dim the lights, have your tea, and you don't have to deal with the issues with kind of putting those things up, because I definitely understand sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many things to put up, and this can be kind of tiring time of year. It's interesting that for some reason during December we decide that that's the month when we're going to do all the things with all the people, and that's the time when the light is short and our energy is low and the rest of the earth is kind of going to sleep, and we decide we need to do a million things. So sometimes just a little shift there and kind of thinking about how you want to work and maybe making some concessions, changing things up a little bit. I actually like, sometimes I'll put on the TV, you can get like a log in the fire, like a fireplace kind of thing, and it has the crackling sounds and that kind of thing. Put that on, and it's lovely, right? Turn off the lights. You can pretend like you have a lovely little fire. Yeah, Beth Ann doesn't want to leave the house. No, I totally get it. So yeah, see if you can find a nice YouTube video that you can pop on with some pretty Christmas lights and that kind of thing. So we are going to move into our weekly planner now. We're going to kind of set up this week. And I know this week is going to be a little different, right? For most of us, we've got holiday things. We've got, some people have work, but work schedules are really kind of shifting and changing. I can definitely say I'm glad I no longer work in retail. That was many, many lifetimes ago, but retail time at this time of year can be really tough. And educator time can be tough too, with kind of trying to do final grades and finals, and the kids kind of being a little squirrely because they're getting ready for break. So having this week planned out is definitely something that I think will help you. So they're on page 46 and 47. I'm actually going to start out. Jen O had been starting with doing the I am loving, which is that little box at the bottom of page 47. And I thought that was kind of a fun way to start things out, to get us kind of in that, what kinds of things are you loving right now? What are you really enjoying? And I found a nice little things that bring a little peace into Christmas. So things like slowing down, keeping it simple, gentle routines, honoring your needs, time in nature, having some you time, being yourself, people who feel safe and safe compassion. And then I found a fun year of yarn bingo, which is not about buying yarn, but it's about doing different fun things with knitting. So I think our knitting group, we're going to do the year of yarn bingo in our group to see who can get a bingo. So what kinds of things are you loving this time of year? Maybe it's already happened. Maybe it's things that are coming up. I'll let you kind of think about what you're loving. I'll play just a little bit of music here, and pop in the chat things that you're loving right now. Oh, right. It's so fun to see the things that folks are loving. I love the eggnog in my coffee for a creamer. I love that. I actually have some like a non-dairy creamer that has the flavor, it's the nut pods, and they have like the fun eggnog and pumpkin and all those different kinds of flavors. So that's super yummy. Holiday joy, being able to, oh, the cranberries. Lots of folks are having yummy cranberry things. Ooh, cranberry and cinnamon goat cheese. That sounds really good. Um, Amy's loving being prepared for Christmas for once. She's usually not, so she's feeling a little more relaxed, loving more journaling time, decorations and holidays. Yeah, and my husband makes a ton of pumpkin bread for everybody during this time of year, so our house always smells amazing. So, love all the different things that you're loving. And sometimes it can be something little, right? It can be like you have some twinkle lights in the window, or the eggnog in your coffee, or some cranberry cinnamon, right? Like I love that idea. So thanks for sharing all the fun things that you're loving. So now let's think about how we want to feel this week, right? And that's, I always say it's kind of setting your intention for how you want to show up for folks, how you want to show up for yourself, what you want this week to be like. And again, knowing this week is going to be maybe having a lot of expectations. Sometimes the expectations are ours. They're not necessarily what somebody else expects, but we set up a lot of expectations. So there at the top of page 46, this week I want to feel, maybe you want to feel self-love or realignment. Maybe you want to think about creating it from an I am standpoint. So I am worthy, I am friendly, I am celebratory, I am ready to enjoy friends and family, I am calm. I like that. Calm is a good feeling for this week. Um, and I'll kind of tie this in a little bit to our weekly major three goals. And I liked this little quote that said, "You don't need a perfect plan for next year or maybe next week to be worthy of a fresh start." And I always kind of like this week is a fresh start. So I see people want to feel joyful and magical and grounded, peace and joy. So as we set those goals, I always say if you set the goals that once you accomplish them or when you are working toward them, you will get that feeling that you want. So maybe you want to look back at those intentions that you set for the month back on page 9. Maybe you want to look at that monthly habit tracker. Maybe you want to set your goals through that lens of renewal. Maybe you want to do some no goals. So, like no alcohol or no added sugar, which is always tricky this time of year. No more than a certain number of minutes on social media, no impulse spending, no takeout meals. Maybe you want to look at previous weeks or journals to see if there's some outstanding things you want to put in. Yeah, Michelle says, I'm ready to have my routine broken because of the holiday. I can deal with one day that I have to do something differently. And I love that, right? Because we do love our routines. We do love having things planned out, but knowing that this week is going to be different, you're ready for that. You're feeling good about seeing what that looks like. Maybe you frame your goals around like a personal challenge, maybe a new recipe challenge. And I love this idea of December's the month to enjoy company of loved ones, celebrate those wins and progress, finish off what you've started, be grateful for the love you have, aim high, dream big, and start fresh. Love all of those ideas. And then here's some ways that people have taken their feeling and then kind of tied in with their goals. So they want to feel authentic and they have a body, mind, and spirit goal. So that's very nice. Energized, again, a mind body work goal. So maybe you don't have to have work goals this week. Maybe you're off work for the week. So maybe you have more of the home goals. You want to celebrate. You want to have that celebratory feeling. So you have celebrating your health, celebrating your family, and celebrating vacationing or celebrating the holiday. I love, this is also a great place for some drawing, right? The little snuggly person. They wanted to have a warm and snuggly time. So they drew a little picture, which I love so much. Somebody has a left brain, right brain, and a no brain goal. I also popped in those 6 ways to prioritize your mental health till New Year's because I know, again, this time of year can be a little intense, right? And so for those of us who sometimes when we get a little overstimulated, then it like kind of leads to that frustration. So really kind of practicing gratitude. It was interesting. I read some things about, especially for folks who have ADHD, that and get a little dopamine addicted, that dopamine is the kind of like the chemical of what is it? Dopamine is the molecule of the future. So dopamine is always wants more, more, and what's next, and what's more. And I'm looking toward the future. Whereas gratitude um, really is what I wrote it down is gratitude leads to serotonin, which is the molecule of gratitude. It's right here. It's right now. I can see it. It's the future, and I'm satisfied. So gratitude a lot of times can help pull you out of that future spiraling anxiety. Really think about things that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my warm fuzzy blanket. I'm grateful for my eggnog in my coffee, right? Really kind of pulling that down into that space. So really kind of think about that. And maybe that's your goal for one of your goals for this week is really kind of thinking about how you can practice gratitude, how you can practice mindfulness in the moment, right? And if you want to repurpose this section for the week, maybe you want to think of some new words or some holiday movies that you want to watch, or maybe it's a fun playlist, or maybe some fun activities that you want. So just kind of think of those different things. Think about that feeling. Think about those goals. Oops. And I will just kind of cycle through these here. So let us know in the chat maybe what feeling that you want. And then what those goals are, how you're going to set that up. And then we'll check back in here in just a few moments. Oh my gosh, my computer is being very fiddly this morning. It does not want me to unmute and turn on my camera. I do not know what the problem is. So, thank you all for sharing ideas for the goals, your feeling, how you want that to go for the week. And just as I think someone was asking, like that one in the middle, it says left brain, right brain, and no brain is what the little categories are on there. So, if you were curious, so about what that was saying there. So thanks for sharing in the chat some of the different ideas that you have there. I also wanted to mention I put a link into the YouTube video that I watched that was talking about dopamine and serotonin and gratitude. It's from a gal who does her primary program is Bright Line Eating, which is not, I don't do that program, but because there's it's like no wheat and no sugar, which is extraordinarily difficult. But she has a lot of really good she has a lot of really good philosophies about things like ADHD and gratitude and dopamine and those kinds of things. So I popped that link in there if you want to take a watch. It's kind of an interesting. I thought it was very helpful for especially this time of year as we think about our brains wanting to do all the things. So now let's talk really quickly about our to-dos and our habits and activities. And honestly, I would recommend trying to think of ways that you can lower some expectations or take some things off your plate this week, right? Really kind of think about gentle ways to fill your festive cup, like taking a nap, going for a walk, planning alone time, letting go of perfection, all of those kinds of things. Or then maybe it's some nice morning things like rehydrating your body and loving what you wear and going for a little walk and reflecting in your journal. Lots of other different ideas for how people have set this up. They have morning and evening, home and work, just a straight up to-do list. Sometimes people will just use stickers. I also popped in a little winter solstice activities about lighting a candle. Some people like to write things down, to symbolically burn away old patterns. So maybe you want to write down people pleasing on a little piece of paper and burn that with a candle. Please be safe with anything that's actual fire. Some people do it more symbolically. Maybe you want to brew some herbal tea, write a letter to yourself, watch the sunrise, different kinds of things that you can do there. We've shared the self-care advent calendar, right? So maybe you want to, today was make cinnamon toast. So I think somebody had some cinnamon and cranberry and that kind of thing. So that's kind of fun. Maybe you want to make a to not list, to be list. Maybe you just want to use some stickers, maybe a nice little quote, a little song lyric goes nicely in here. And then I'll also talk about the habits and activities, because sometimes those go hand in hand with those to-dos. And again, this is going to be an unusual week. So give yourself some grace if you come up with some habits and activities that you want to do. Maybe they're things you don't do every 7 days. Maybe they're things you want to do once or twice during this week to remind you of the habit that you have, but not really stressing out about trying to do it even when your schedule is changed, right? Things are kind of different. So here's some examples of some things that some folks have done. Talk about kind of getting up at a certain time, hydrating, moving. You don't have to fill in every box. And again, maybe if this is like a little too much right now this week, fill it up with some fun stickers, right? You don't have to keep everything in there. I did pop in. If you don't subscribe to The Ordinary and Happy, they have an Instagram, but you can also sign up on their website to get a daily email that has a fun little daily thing and also these fun little lists. So this is tiny habits can make a big difference. So maybe you want to find some things on here to kind of reach out to at least one person a day to say hi or send a kind message, leaving 10 minutes earlier than you think you need to. So that's kind of fun. And then the fun little December bucket list. So that's kind of fun. Oops. So I'll play just a brief little bit of music, cycle through these slides, work on that to do and the habits and activities, and then we'll move over and finish up with those sections that are there on page 47. Okay, I know that wasn't a ton of time, but again, you have lots of different examples. Like I said, screenshot some of these if they're things that you want to remember and save. Ashley says, I love repurposing. Oh, and now it disappeared. I love repurposing the section for positive affirmations that I focus on and repeat to myself right before bed. This week, my affirmations are: this Christmas is magical. I am right where I need to be. Everyone is safe and well. I'm grateful for each moment, and I've got it so good. I love that idea of kind of writing some of those. And she says, then I check each circle when I've focused on this affirmation right after bed. So that's a great idea. I love that idea of taking the habits and activities, writing down affirmations, and then checking which affirmation you say to yourself each night. Before bed, or maybe in the morning. Maybe you have a morning and an evening. And then I saw somebody else mention that there is what they call wish paper, and it's a very thin paper that actually, when you burn it, it just kind of poof, like kind of disappears into dust. It's not like, I think somebody was saying the journal paper doesn't burn very well, which is probably good. But yeah, so do be careful. I want folks to be very careful if you're doing anything. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher and or some water. Be very mindful if you're doing that. And I know a lot of people do like a solstice fire outside. So again, please be careful with that. And let's move over to that page 47. And I'm going to go over these different sections because I think there's a lot of overlap in different ways that people change things up. So here's a lot of different ideas for things people have done with the meal planner and really any section here. You could obviously use it as a meal planner or a meal tracker. You can write those daily affirmations or those scriptures, your work or project or any kind of studying tracker, exercise tracker, cleaning plans, mindfulness activities, end of day reflection, weekly appointments, a garden tracker. Probably not a garden tracker at this time of year unless it's you're kind of putting the leaves over it and that kind of thing, or maybe doing some composting. Dream tracker, outfit tracker. Maybe it's a gift tracker if you're going over to visit folks and you want to make sure to take some things over. Here's some examples of some fun things to do. We've got some kindness quote doodles, some daily affirmations. We've got another fun December bucket list, a make it happen list, doing some cleaning, which is also really good to think about this time of year. Yeah, totally a holiday movie tracker. That is a great idea as well. I made a holiday movie bingo in my journal this month. So that's kind of fun. And then our mind body health plan. I liked this little quote about winter solstice. Let us all be reborn on this first day of winter and live our lives with a little bit more love and peace. So again, maybe you want to kind of think about some winter solstice activities that kind of, now we're entering winter, which really is more of a hibernation and a downtime. So how are you going to honor that? Things that help when it's always dark out, right? So these are very important things to kind of think about. Remind yourself it's normal to need more rest in the winter. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of times this month I've been going to bed around 8:30, and normally I go to bed at 9. But I've been going to bed early because it's dark and I'm tired, and that's okay, right? The Hygge challenge is always good to think about. Maybe you want to do that quality of coziness and comfort and really kind of hunkering down and finding fun ways to experience that. In your shopping list, I saw this fun little recipe. Well, it's not really a recipe, but it's like making a salad, but you have a round cutting board and you put a bowl in the middle and you put the salad, you make the salad all around and then you take the bowl out. It looks like a little wreath. So I thought that was kind of pretty. Other different things, again, making sure you're filling your cup, making a little bingo game here. Lots of different things that you can do there as well. Oops. And so then I'm going to cycle through. I'll play a brief little bit of music and then I'll check back in and we will wrap things up. So keep sharing in the chat kind of what you're doing with these little sections, what you're doing with these areas, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so I saw lots of folks changing some things up. The shopping list becomes some movies that they want to watch, or maybe it's some songs they want to listen to. I've been having fun trying to find kind of the offbeat Christmas songs or holiday songs on Spotify. So, I mean, I love the traditional songs that they play on the radio, but sometimes I just want to have something a little different. So I found like there's an 80s Christmas playlist, there's some like old time, there's like cozy jazz, finding those. And again, YouTube has great like 3 4 hour videos that are playing the songs, kind of having all of that, like the Christmas tree or a fun snowy scene or something like that. So that's kind of fun to pop on the TV and have if you're like wrapping presents or just sitting and drinking some tea. So make sure you spend some time this week for yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes alone, sipping a hot beverage, kind of thinking about things that you're grateful for. I think we all deserve just a little bit of downtime this week as we go through. So please feel free to share your weekly planner. In Sonder Club, you can see that's where we got all these pictures from. Are people like you? They're all real, I call it HI, human intelligence, not AI. Um, and we love to kind of see what is on there. And then hoping that your holiday is joyful if you like it and mercifully short if you don't. Love that. And we do have a social, I'm doing some journaling pages on Tuesday night. So, and of course, we'll have another social tomorrow morning, the weekly setup. And then I think we'll be back on that Friday after Christmas, starting to set up for January. Oh my goodness, how is that? So, thank you all so much for spending some time. The videos, Bailey is popping the link in for YouTube, the playlist. You can always go if you want a little motivation. You can go and find one of our previous socials. There are a couple of Hygge socials on there where we kind of talk about doing Hygge kinds of things. So take care of yourself. Have a fabulous, fabulous week. Happy solstice, winter solstice. The sun is going to come back. It promised it would. So take care, everyone, and hopefully we will see you again soon.